Dancing Queen to Nadia's surprise. When I rang the doorbell, I could hear loud music being played in the hall. Wondering what was going on, Dan's sister Claudia opened the door, letting me in. At once I saw that she and her friends from the Gardetans group had gathered here in the spacey hall to do some exercise. All the girls wore their somewhat ridiculous uniforms and were swinging their legs. I asked Claudia what was wrong with her. Apparently something had happened to her ankle, as it was wrapped with white tape. "Oh, I strained my ankle this morning. But why don't you come in and sit down on the stairs and watch our dance? I don't know when Danny will be back, though." We both sat down and watched. I knew that there were 6 girls in the group and wondered how I could count to 6 with Claudia off the group. "Oh, I'm sorry to hear. But," I stopped for a second, "but you are still 6 girls, aren't you?" "Yes, we are. We are 6 girls." She looked the other way so I couldn't read her face. We were quite lucky to get another girl into the group. She's the sister of one of the girls and knows our dance pretty well. "Oh, lucky you are." In vain I tried to figure out who might be the new girl. Their faces were all heavily made up, and they all seemed to be quite adept with the difficult steps of the quick dance. Maybe her? No. Or that girl on the left side? No, I couldn't tell. There was a rather slim girl in the back row, panting heavily as it seemed to me. It was difficult to see her face, but even if I had seen it in clear sunlight, it wouldn't have made a difference. They all looked the same to me. Some might call their uniforms pretty. Men would probably love their short skirts with the starched petticoats underneath, but, to me, this was all pretty weird. I'm sure that I would have felt miserable, ridiculous in a way, should I dress like that. Unfortunately, I couldn't keep my mouth shut about this. "Tell me, Claudia, I just wonder, how do you feel wearing these uniforms? Don't you feel stupid? I mean, look at these skirts. It's sure good enough for any boy in puberty. But, honestly, I think I'd die if I were to get out in the streets dressed like that." She gave me a long glance. "No, you wouldn't." "I surely would," I replied. "Never." Most definitely. The girls had stopped their dance and easily overheard our little dispute. "What's wrong?" one of them asked. Claudia told her. "Nadia thinks she'd die right away if she had to wear one of our uniforms outside." "Nonsense. How stupid." "Outrageous," the girls shouted back. And then something totally unexpected happened. Without me noticing it, one of the girls behind my back had quietly stepped out of her costume. Now, only wearing her leotard, she stepped forward and said, "I think we should give her fair chance. Why not let her try for herself? I think she is just my size." Now, that's a brilliant idea. What do you think, Nadia? It's the best offer of the day. Claudia grinned into my face. She put the costume into my arms before I even had a chance to react. What should I do? What could I do? Well, I didn't want to spoil their game, and I must say, I was indeed a bit curious how it felt to be wearing one of their uniforms. I noticed my throat getting dry. "Well, okay, I'm not sure about this, but if you say so." "We do," the girls cried, all but the slim girl, as I noticed. She still kept in the background. "Where can I change?" "Okay. You better come with me. You can change up in my room. I'll also give you a clean leotard to wear." Saying this, she led me upstairs to her room. Some minutes later, I was about to start screaming. What I saw in Claudia's mirror was the most appalling outfit I had ever seen on someone's body. Unfortunately, it was my body this time. I felt sick from the very first moment. How on earth could anyone go outside dressed like this? What should I do about it now? Considering my options, I realized how fatal my situation was. I did this to prove I was right about dying instantaneously the very moment I'd leave the house. Wondering whether or not I should go on with my argument, or maybe better tell the girls, it wasn't that bad, and then quickly change into my own things. I did not hear Claudia entering her room again. Well, what do you say? I think you look very pretty in this uniform. Wait, let me just arrange your skirts a little, like this, looks better now. Okay, ready for your walkabout? I wasn't ready for anything. I noticed my legs trembling and just hoped Claudia wouldn't notice. Then, without hesitating, she simply took my hand and led me downstairs. I was trapped. Oh, you look so cute with your uniform. Try to shake out your petticoats a little, the girls giggled. Then the girl, who had lent me her uniform, still in her leotard, took one of the other girls and came over to me. We thought you should go once around the block, but we were a bit afraid of you getting lost. So Daniela is going to accompany you. She knows the surroundings of the house better than anyone else. Besides, she too is a bit nervous about going out in her uniform, just like you. So, if the two of you are in company, it'll be a lot easier for you. She gave me a big smile. Don't you think so? All right, let me have your left arm. And then, before I had time to react or to say anything, I felt something cold around my wrist, heard a clicking sound and noticed a pair of bright shining manacles around my wrist. She had put solid handcuffs on me, connecting me to Daniela, the girl with the slim waist. And much quicker than imagined, the two of us had been pushed outside, the front door locking behind our backs. It was now that I should have collapsed dead on the threshold. But I didn't. Instead, Daniela pulled me away from the door. It seemed to me she really wanted to go around the block. Of course, this block only consisted of few villas and their connecting gardens. It was a nice part of town, few people around, but nevertheless there were a few girls and some boys, looking interested, as we turned around the corner. Where are we going? I asked Daniela, but she did not answer. Still, she was breathing heavily. What was wrong with that girl? Too many cigarettes. She was pulling hard at the handcuffs, hurting my wrist. Wait, not that fast. Do you have to pull as hard as that? Again, she did not answer. Maybe she was deaf and dumb? But now I could see she was steering right to one of the gardens, getting us out of sight. I already felt very sweaty in my long-sleeved leotard, and running around with layers of petticoats did not help either. Reaching the garden, we slowed down a bit. Still, Daniela was leading all the time, almost dragging me along. And why was she trying to keep her face away from me? Only now I noticed, but now it seemed to be true, she was hiding her face from me. For a moment I tried to stop running, pulling her back on the handcuff, but she did not give up her leading and pulled even harder now. Then, not seeing a thick branch on the ground, she stumbled. Ouch, she howled, falling onto the ground and dragging me down with her. Hearing this cry, my blood froze to ice. I had heard it before, just this very same ouch, and I was now completely puzzled. I had heard it before from Danny, my boyfriend. It couldn't be true, could it? It is truly amazing how fast your brain works when it really has to. Still falling, I had already made up my mind. Before I even landed on top of her I knew, it wasn't her, but him, I'd be landing on. And I knew I just wanted to run away from him, from her. As fast as I could. Which of course I couldn't, due to the bloody handcuffs. I felt shocked, even hurt. What was going on? I just couldn't get the clue of it. Why was Danny in these ridiculous clothes? And why was I wearing them anyway? I had to find out. Taking him around his waist, I slowly helped him up on his feet. Underneath his uniform jacket I felt something very solid, as his waist felt more like the surface of a tree than a human waist. What on earth? What on earth are you wearing? I hesitated a long second. Danny. By now he'd know I had found out about Daniela's little secret. A corset. They laced me into this thing, as I couldn't get into Claudia's jacket. I can hardly breathe. But why? Why are you wearing these? I pointed at his frilly clothes. It's disgusting. Why are you wearing these? He replied. They simply tricked me into it. We both sat down on a bench. But, what do you feel? Was it nice to get laced into a tight corset by a bunch of laughing girls? You must be sick to do this. I didn't really know what to say. Running away was no option either. What I feel about it? Well, he hesitated, awful. I had never imagined. What did you imagine? Why on earth did you imagine anything anyhow? I mean, boys don't normally think about girls' clothes. They think about girls. And now something inexplicable happened. My utter disgust changed to total desire within a second. My heart started racing, my mouth went dry. What was this thing? It was plastic, all right. Clear, see-through plastic, and I could see everything. Panting and short of breath, he brushed my hands away. I can't take it off. I don't have the bloody keys. Well, who has them? And who put this thing on you? I mean, God. I wasn't used to talking about these things, and in petticoats. It's from the same girl who put the handcuffs on us, he answered. I could see he was still fighting against the tight confinement of his corset. I wonder what else she's got. You'll probably find out soon. Don't mock. You look silly enough yourself. Maybe we should better see and get home. Some of the evening schools are soon to start, and we don't want to be on public display more than necessary, do we? Of course we didn't. Danny, i.e. Daniela, led me through the gardens until we reached one of the neighboring streets again. Walking side by side, we managed to hide the handcuffs, but the rest of our outfit was of course nothing we could hide. We simply tried not to take notice of any of the giggling girls or whistling boys. Still, I was completely turned on by the situation. So, as we walked, I always tried to keep pushing my starched skirts into his, enjoying the creepy feeling in my loins. I became more and more courageous, and the next time we passed a group of 3 girls our age, I stopped for a moment, tugged at the handcuff in full visibility and cried out, "Not so fast, Dan. You are hurting me." It almost gave me what I wanted the most, right on the spot. Finally we reached Danny's home again. We stumbled up the stairs, knocked on the door. It was opened by Dan's sister. As I could see, the other girls weren't around anymore. Well, you two had a great time. She had a big smile on her face. We sure had, I answered, but I'd rather be in my own clothes again. I'd better be off, I think. Me too, Danny agreed, just let me out of this trash now and we'll forget the whole business. I can't stand this bloody corset any longer. Claudia seemed to be amused. So, you can't stand your corset any longer? Maybe it is time to relace it? And you think we can just forget it, do you? I think we'll better see what Mom is going to say about it. You just look so pretty in your skirts, dear brother. Wouldn't it be a shame if Mother missed that? Saying this, she opened the handcuff which was attached to my arm and then very quickly pulled Dan over to the stairs, cuffing his hands together behind his back and around the banister. I was allowed to go upstairs again, to change back into my own clothes. Claudia followed me to the door. Well, I think now you know how much fun it is to be wearing our uniforms. But I reckon you'd better be off now. Mother is to be home at any moment, and you'd probably prefer to be out of the way, don't you? What are you doing to her, him? You can't let him stand there like this, to be found by his mother. She laughed. Why not? In my petticoats. Mom will definitely know what to do about it, don't you think so? I left the house, not giving her an answer. She was probably right. Their mother was a shrink, she'd know all right. Nevertheless, I felt a bit worried, due to this big red rubber ball, attached to a leather string, Claudia held in her hand. I had never seen anything like this before, but it didn't look good. When I left the house, I did not know it had been the last time I had seen my friend Danny. In the days after the event, he did not come to school. Phoning them, I learnt he had become very ill and would not be back to school for some months. But 2 weeks later, I wasn't really sure about anything anymore. On the TV, I saw Claudia's group dancing on stage. 6 pretty girls in their fancy uniforms. 6 girls? Well, no, maybe 5 girls and 1 boy. No, I couldn't tell.